Hi guys, this is James. Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to be discussing why I sold my Lumix GX85 and replaced it with this Lumix G80. Come on, S5. So you guys might remember a video I did back a month or so ago, and it was the 5 reasons to get a Lumix GX85. I bought the Lumix GX85 mainly for photography and travel in mind, and it's a really good camera. It's small, something you can put in your bag without any worries of taking up too much space, and something that can produce really nice 4K video and some really nice stills. But there are some reasons why I wanted to switch out that GX85 and replace it with a G80. And here are those reasons. So, number one, ergonomics. As you know, the GX85 has a rangefinder style. Therefore, it has a very small grip, almost non-existent grip. I did buy an L bracket for the GX85 to try and beef up the grip a little more. But even with that L bracket, the grip still wasn't deep enough. With the Lumix G80, you have a more significant grip, similar to a DSLR style grip, and therefore a lot more comfortable to hold, particularly walking around all day with the camera. You want to make sure that you're comfortable holding that camera. So handling and ergonomics was a good reason to switch from the GX85 to the G80. Another good reason to switch from the GX85 to the G80 was the swivel screen. Now, video aside, obviously we know with a switch out screen like the S5 has, you can film yourself and that's all great and whatever else, but also for stills photography. When I'm out and about, I do like to get low with the camera and in portrait mode for Instagram bangers. And it's that pull out fully articulating screen is definitely handy in those situations. The GX85 has an articulating screen, but it's not a fully articulating screen. So it does pull out, you can get low, but you're stuck in landscape mode rather than portrait mode. So there may not be a big issue for some, but for me, I was definitely missing that fully articulating screen. So that was another reason to switch out the GX85 for the G80. Mic inputs. The GX85 doesn't have a mic input. Now, I knew that at the time, and I kind of played it down a bit, thinking I'm not really going to use the GX85 for any kind of video work, but being a more video orientated person, it's definitely beneficial to take around a smaller camera that can obviously produce nice looking video similar to the GX85, but also record good audio. So on mic input, the longer I own the GX85, it became more apparent that that's something I actually wanted in a smaller camera. And the G80 does have that mic input. Weather sealing, big plus I think for somebody looking to do traveling. Now I've got a couple of trips coming up next year, and I was thinking about the GX85. It doesn't have weather sealing, and I don't want to be in a predicament when I'm away where I'm reluctant to take out the camera in some wet conditions. I want to be able to go out regardless and take stills and some video regardless of the weather. And I just feel like to go that many miles away and not take any photographs or video because of the weather would be a shame. So weather sealing for me now has become a bit of a one of those important features that a camera should have, and thankfully the S1, S5, G9 and now the G80 all are weather sealed, so there's no issues with weather. So weather sealing was another good reason to switch out the GX85 for the G80. Now this other reason for the G80, it's not because the GX85 wasn't, it's just that with all the features it does offer, plus this was definitely a clincher for me to do this final switch, and that is the size of the camera. So the size of the camera, the G80, it's still a small camera. Now if you compare the GX85, which is also a small camera, other than the style, so the DSLR prism at the top, it's a bit taller than the GX85, but overall they're pretty much similar in size and also weight. So the size and weight of the G80, it's very similar to the GX85, so I wouldn't be missing anything if I did switch from the GX85 to the G80. So the fact that the G80 is a very small portable camera was another good reason to switch out from the GX85 to the G80. Profiles. Now, the GX85 has a lot of profiles that the G80 does, but the G80 has Cine like D and Cine like V profiles. And these are your more, they're not log profiles, but they're definitely profiles that give you a lot of scope within the grade. They're a flatter image, so for video work, that would definitely come in handy. Also, I have the S5 and S1 and G9, and all those cameras have a version of Cine D, so I could match the G80 with those cameras. This is a little example of me matching those cameras as the S5, G9 and G80, so just so you can see how well they do match. Now, it's not perfect. I'm not a professional grader, but I think you can see within these this little video here that they do match reasonably well. As long as you're white balancing everything and making sure exposure and everything is the same, then I think they can look pretty good as a trio or quadruple set of cameras. The GX85 doesn't have Cine like D. There is a workaround for it, but at the end of the day, it's nice that the G80 does have Cine like D and Cine like V. So other than vlog, you can match this camera to more professional cameras such as the G9 and S5 and so on. So Cine like D was a big plus for me and switching from the GX85 to the G80. Also, another little thing which I appreciated on the G80 was the fact that it had the AFS, AFC and manual focusing switch, an actual physical switch on the back of the camera. And for me, who enjoys photography, that was a really nice feature to have. And it was a bit finicky on the GX5, just to go into the menu and change it on the Q menu, and it was just a bit of a palaver. Whereas if you're out and about with the G80, you can literally just flick the switch. So definitely a big plus for me from a photography standpoint was the fact that you had the autofocus switch on the back of the camera. A couple of things which I don't like about the G80, similar to the GX85, is that the placement of the tripod mount, it's not in the middle of the camera, it's actually more toward the front of the camera. And this, for me, I've noticed, I like to put L brackets on my cameras, particularly if I'm going out taking photos. I find it a lot easier with a tripod. L brackets don't fit very nice with this camera, unfortunately. So I've got a couple of universal L brackets, and they look very odd because it's very far forward. It's not center of the camera. So the tripod placement for me is a bit of a pain in the ass when it comes to using L brackets with the G80. Another thing I don't really like about the camera is the fact that it's lacking a headphone port. There is a workaround by using external monitors with headphone ports, but the fact that it doesn't come with one can be a bit concerning when it comes to monitoring your audio. So it has a mic input, but then monitoring the audio can be a bit of a tricky situation because it does lack that headphone port. And the final thing, which is a bit of a pain with the G80, but not the end of the world, is the fact that in this country, the G80 does have a record limit of 30 minutes. And that is a bit of a pain. So, and I don't think you can use an external recorder with the G80 to override that. I think it's just the way it is with the G80. So it's something which I can deal with. It's not going to be any kind of A cam, so it's not the end of the world. But it's, you know, just a little thing from a video aspect or a videographer point of view is the record limit, and something perhaps, you know, maybe you're not aware of, that the G80 does have a 30-minute record limit. So final little thing is, you probably notice I'm saying GX85 and not GX80. So I bought the GX85 thinking I'd be mainly using it for stills, but turns out being a video guy that I want to use it more for video. It doesn't have a record limit because it's a GX85, but unfortunately it's stuck in NTSC mode and I can't switch it to PAL, therefore I can have 25 frames per second, and also it can produce some flickering because it's a different frequency, a frequency that's set for North America and Canada. So the fact that now the G80 is PAL and it does have 25 frames per second means that I don't have any potential issues, particularly with mix matching 24 and 25 and any kind of flickering because of the frequency. So the fact that the G80 is PAL is a little bonus reason to switch from the GX85 to the G80. But that's only if you're going from a GX85. If you go from a GX80, then obviously that's not an issue because the GX80 is also PAL and 25 frames per second. So yeah, a little added bonus one there for you. So anyway, guys, that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave any comments in the comment section down below. Thank you. Oh yeah, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And yeah, that's it from me. Thank you and goodbye.